Well, welcome to the Innovations and Automation webinar. Thanks for joining us. My name is Liz Zeiser, and I'm the Director of Product Ops over here at Upwave, so I'll be kicking this off for us. So we are all in this advertising space, and I think that we can all agree that it is ever growing and ever changing. So this creates an increasing need for us to measure that advertising. So enter a wave of tech-enabled automation solutions, AI and machine learning that gives us better and faster outcomes, streamlined processes, and making any of our manual work go as far as possible. So to unpack this a bit more, I'd like to welcome Jeremy O'Brien. He's the head of Upwave's product, and he's going to take you through the 5 challenges plaguing the industry and how automation can help solve them. We'll also sprinkle in a few automation examples that Upwave's done to make your lives easier and your ability to measure your advertising most effectively. So let's go ahead and get started.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for that introduction, Liz. My name is Jeremy O'Brien. I lead product at Upwave, and I'm excited to talk with you about automation today. If anyone has any questions, feel free to add those to the Q&A option in Zoom, and we'll get to those at the end. So there we are. So I'd like to start by giving us a little bit of context, and that is that over 2 decades ago, there was a lot of fragmentation in the media marketplace that was even further catalyzed by the internet. The internet led to new channels and devices, to search, to online, to mobile, to social and video, which in turn led to swelling overheads as buyers and sellers, struggle to cope with that proliferation of channels in launching campaigns and managing inventory and in transacting. And that's where programmatic emerged. Programmatic is a variety of things. One of them is a paradigm that aimed to make it easier to find audiences that are relevant to a brand's advertising goals. It also is well known as what introduced real-time bidding models that were less unwieldy to coordinate and transact. And it certainly had the effect in the marketplace of rebalancing clout between buyer and seller, between large parties and small parties. But today, I think it's important to take a look at how it also helped us to reduce overhead through automation. That's a pretty significant benefit of programmatic, and an innovation which has continued. According to a new study conducted by Grandview Research, the global marketing automation market is expected to exceed $8.4 billion in the next 5 years. So this is something that continues. And just as programmatic kindled automation of the planning and trading of media, that innovation is seeing expression in a variety of different ways today. For instance, in RFP and proposal systems that are getting integrated to better manage order workflow and support cross-platform deals, or the work that viewability, fraud, and brand safety providers have been doing to automate their measurement setup so that more advertisers can advertise safely, to media billing systems that are automating booking and reconciliation so that there's less paper, so that there are less complex accounting processes, to things like the work that data platforms are doing to automate the ingestion of data and the integration of media and campaign analytics so that brands and agencies don't have to build their own custom bespoke business intelligence solutions. So now that overhead, when we look at the industry, is found in a new place. It's found in media measurement, and that is a product of the fragmentation of identity. This is creating a lot of bloat at agencies and media companies in measurement processes. And a lot of that is the result of the ability to track and measure so much. It requires more people to manually create campaigns, to instrument their advertising, to analyze the results, to deliver insights, and to optimize campaigns. So this complexity means more tasks to perform in maybe the same time, but often less time to do it, and a low tolerance for mistakes, which can be, in addition to time consuming to resolve, very expensive. And while we can talk about multitasking, there are certain tasks that if you multitask, you're not really putting your expertise to best use. Those that require expertise and concentration or creative thinking, there's only so much we can do to multitask there. And talent is also scarce. So agencies need a lot of people to handle this work, but advertisers want to put their budgets towards working media. And there's a lot of turnover happening in the marketplace. So this challenge that you're all living through is a choke point for brand advertising success. And as a brand measurement platform, that matters immensely to Upwave. So there's industry recognition of these pain points, but there's also hope that automation can help with them. The pain that you experience is a key focus when we're creating features on Upwave's platform. And when we think of automation, we should think of it as a force multiplier that enables us to do more tasks per unit of work. And that in turn gives us the time we need to tackle the more valuable parts of our jobs. As a software as a service platform for brand measurement, automation really needs to be baked into Upwave's DNA. And we look to harness automation in order to make things more intuitive, easier to use, less error prone, more reliable, and faster to provide you, our customers, with value. So as Liz mentioned at the outset, we'll be looking at 5 industry-wide measurement pain points. And we'll be talking a little bit about how Upwave is working to solve for them by leveraging automation. So those span setting up measurement, implementing and then troubleshooting tags, optimizing live campaigns, and interpreting the outcomes of those campaigns. So I won't drill down too far into this first one, but I did want to hit on the benefits of simplifying it. So suffice it to say, setting up measurement is a pain point for all of us. It can be clunky, scheduling conference calls and the back and forth of email threads. Those are inefficient and expensive ways to confirm measurement feasibility, to get campaign measurement going. And they depend on synchronous communications between teams that might be all over the place and are in different organizations. So I'm sure you're all familiar with Upwave's campaign setup, which is intended to make it easier to enter the essential campaign information right in the platform, so Wizard takes care of the rest. Now, why we invested time in this is in order to make it faster, so that simple forms can often enable you to set up a campaign in the same day, in order to make it comprehensive so that all the information that's needed can be gathered in one place: brand, product, dates, the scale of your campaign, channels you're measuring, the media partners you're using, the objectives of your campaign, importantly, the KPIs, and the audiences you're targeting. So nothing gets left out. And if you need more time to gather information, collecting it in this way allows you to save progress so that you don't have to start from the beginning. And last but not least, there's a team enabling dimension to automating this, which I think is important to think about. And that is that through a comprehensive approach to campaign setup, you can ensure that the right people are in the loop. You can invite colleagues to receive notifications for automated notifications over the course of the campaign, something we'll talk a little bit about later. So if we're moving from campaign setup, then of course the next step is implementing tags, and getting campaigns tagged is definitely a point of friction, pain, and bloat for the industry. Implementing tags is almost always time crunched in a world of agile advertising. Additionally, it is a launch blocker, right? So correct tag implementation is critical to accurate measurement, and it's not very fault tolerant. If there's a problem, going back to fix it can require a lot of work and sometimes can result in data loss. And the manual workflows, emailing one another back and forth, are very inefficient and can be error prone. They cause delays and they can lead to discrepancies. So when thinking about how automation can help with that at Upwave, we have focused on giving advertisers, agencies, and publisher ad ops teams intuitive tools for their tagging workflow right in our platform so that they can set up measurement tags with minimal duplication of effort. So to us, that means giving customers direct access, enabling them to easily find the tags and macros that you need for whatever ad server you're using, whatever media platform you're working with, or you represent. And by putting it in the platform, that means that there's no more waiting for an email turnaround that gives you the tags you need before you can go live. It's on demand. You download your tags whenever you need them, 24/7. And making that straightforward so that you can configure tags in minutes, download a tag sheet, and implement or traffic those tags to whoever needs them with clear, ready-to-use instructions is another aspect that's critical. We've also invested time in integrating with the largest and most commonly used third-party ad server in the marketplace, CM360. And we did that for an important reason, and that is that third-party ad servers are used by many advertisers and agencies in order to manage their campaigns. And you do a lot of work in those ad servers. And by retrieving information from CM360 directly, by retrieving the placements that you've created via an industry-first API, then we can make it so much easier to configure tags using the work that you've already done in your ad server, reducing the amount of extra effort that you need to take. And we measure many campaigns that do not use CM360, so ensuring that we have and can make it easy to use hundreds of other combinations of ad servers in that media platforms is a key part of automating this workflow, along with, of course, our server-to-server integrations. So that's a little bit about implementing tags. Let's talk next about what comes next, which is just as important and painful as getting campaigns tags. It's finding and fixing tagging issues wherever they crop up. In other words, discrepancies. So unmeasured or mismeasured impressions are really the bane of outcomes measurement. And the reason for that is that high fidelity signals of exposure are really key to accurately measuring outcomes. And when you have a laggy process that can sometimes be postponed or delayed, that's dependent on the delivery of reporting information, and when you use manual comparisons that have SLAs, you can delay diagnosis and resolution of those issues. And that's very, very painful. Now, this is a pain point for which Upwave has made a number of very recent updates. So I'll spend a little more time here in case anyone's unfamiliar. So in order to reduce the chance of unknown discrepancies, in order to reduce the chance of unknown discrepancies and enable you to troubleshoot as quickly as possible, we've been making a number of enhancements. So now discrepancy reports update automatically in our platform. And additionally, ad ops teams are alerted via email when there's something they need to know. So those automatic setup reminders will also generate emails that are sent to designated ad ops team members to ensure that the ad server reporting is set up as early as possible and minimize the window for which information is not available. The comparisons happen automatically as quickly as reports are received from ad servers so that there's a rapid feedback loop for detection of discrepancies. Alerts are proactive, and by that we mean that when a discrepancy threshold is breached, it'll trigger an email notification to you, and that email notification will deep link directly to reports in Upwave's dashboard, so you can determine what's going on and identify why. But the rest of the time, when the differences between measured and served impressions are nominal, those notifications are silent, so you don't need to worry. And last but not least, we've overlaid that with intelligent diagnostics that help you to identify whether you're over-tracking, under-tracking, whether macros are firing correctly, and other issues, both at the aggregate as well as micro levels. So these are some of the innovations we've brought to troubleshooting tags recently, which, as you all know, is a major pain point for campaign measurement. So historically, optimizing campaigns based on brand lift has been constrained by the reporting cycles. When the numbers get run, results compiled and shared with stakeholders. Optimizing live campaigns using real-time brand lift is new to market. This is a new capability, and many more advertisers, agencies, and publishers could take advantage of it rather than waiting to reach the midpoint of a campaign or even reviewing final results to act on for their next campaign. It's also important to recognize that real-time brand lift-based campaign optimization as something that's new often falls between job descriptions, between what the planning team is responsible for, what a trading team is responsible for, what an analytics team is responsible for. And that it's time consuming. Monitoring campaign performance takes time, and optimizing this kind of performance requires alignment with different stakeholders, which also takes time. And last but not least, it does take expertise, and the reason for this is important to remember, and that's that conventional statistical tests aren't designed to trade off what's called exploration and exploitation in the way that auto optimizers using like A/B tests and things like that are. And so that makes decisions harder. It makes alignment harder. And we think there's a great opportunity at Upwave to take advantage of real-time brand lift signals. And so we focused automation on that so that we can make brand lift useful as an optimization signal for live campaigns. First of all, taking advantage of nightly runs of results. We've also introduced a new, more appropriate measurement to this optimization, the outperformance indicator. And lastly, we've automated context-aware notifications based on that metric. All of this with the aim of reducing the risk that customers miss opportunities that matter to them. So we have a recommendation engine that identifies opportunities based on campaign-specific objectives, like your main KPIs, your audience targets, and other parameters, that automatically monitors those and then sends opportunities directly to your designated decision makers on a campaign at a cadence that's appropriate to your brand or business. Those notifications look at high and low performing tactics and highlight them for you, and they deep link directly into our dashboard, into our platform, so that you can view those with context of the overall performance of your campaign and the different parts of your campaign. And the reason that's important is because it leaves you in the driver's seat. So you can take your expert judgment and identify whether particular parts of your campaign that you might optimize are in fact actionable and what your tolerance of risk is for a given opportunity. All of this is made so much easier by bringing that information to you through automation rather than you needing to go look for it. Last but not least, another pain point for the industry is perhaps the most conspicuous one, interpreting outcomes and garnering insights, which is the linchpin of brand measurement and where you'd expect to invest the most expertise in order to get the highest payoff. So accurate interpretation takes time. It takes expertise, evaluating statistical power, extrapolating from results without falling prey to false negatives or false positives, and correctly identifying the drivers of performance. But that's not all. Interpreting outcomes is an essential part of interpreting outcomes is communicating those outcomes in a way that's clear to stakeholders. We need to express that in a way that different stakeholders can understand it, can buy into it, and everyone has shared confidence in the insights on which decisions are made. So for Upwave, we've invested in features that aim to reduce the burden of interpretation through automation. Whether that's by automatically annotating outcomes reports right in the platform based on whatever you select, or taking that a step further and giving you a top-line summary of campaign performance with a click. Why have we focused on that? Well, easy to understand, yet statistically accurate interpretations make your lives easier. Expressing in succinct natural language what's going on and what matters, so you can change your analytical focus from what to so what. And that minimizes the time that you need to invest in analyzing data, in exploring results or in formatting those in some way that you can share them with others. And we've looked at this both from the perspective of what you might call choose your own adventure. So no friction exploration. Whatever cuts and KPIs you select will annotate dynamically right in the platform what that means. Or a more hands-free approach that automatically synthesizes information you have given to Upwave about what matters to you and summarizes campaign performance in the context of campaign objectives, of the tactical bets you've made, of important audiences, and information that comes from your learning agenda. And of course, making this easy to save to your dashboard, to share links with your colleagues, or to download in its entirety. These are all parts of what make automating this powerful for you. So to kind of summarize, automation is undeniably becoming more widespread in our industry. And we think it's now critical to make brand measurement successful and scalable for you, so you can make data-driven decisions for the brands that you steward. At Upwave, we're harnessing automation in order to help you to better measure, to better optimize. And your feedback on these innovations that we've shared and your perspective on the pain points that you're experiencing are critical so that we can continue to build a platform that solves for your needs. And of course, additional training is available from the Upwave team if there are particular parts of the approach that we're taking that you'd like to drill down into further. So let us know. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll turn it back over to Liz at this point so we can answer any questions we've gotten from the audience.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy. We did get some questions. So first one for you is, how often are notifications sent for optimizations, and how do I pick who gets them?
That's a great question. This is all configurable directly in your dashboard for your campaign. So you can receive notifications on a daily basis. You can get a weekly digest. You can invite your colleagues to join a campaign so they can receive notifications. So for instance, if you work on an analytics team and your traders or buyers are looking to optimize the performance of the campaign, you can sign them up for notifications so they'll get that information directly. Great.
All right, next one for you. When should I review my discrepancies and how often?
That's a great question, and one I know Liz, leading our product ops team, certainly is well acquainted with. So if I can channel Liz a little bit here, I'd say probably as early and as often as you can. And that's really why we have invested in leveraging automation to enable that. First of all, to make sure that we are receiving partner reports from your ad server so that we can perform those comparisons and let you know about them. The earlier we can detect that in the campaign, the earlier you will understand where there might be an issue with a tags implementation, and we can help you to troubleshoot that. And as a result, get a better signal of exposure, ensure that we're covering the parts of the campaign that you're measuring, and ensure that the signal that we're getting is correct, and we can correctly measure the impact of that campaign based on who is exposed to it and who isn't.
Great. All right, one more for you.
Sure.
Why are target audiences needed to set up a campaign?
Oh, this is an interesting question. It sounds simple, and it is, but it's actually really important. So first off is when brands advertise, we reach some people we intend to reach and some people we don't. The target audience is a reminder of who we intend to reach. And being able to identify that when you're measuring outcomes is really important. That's not to say that you shouldn't think about the people you aren't reaching and the impact the campaign is having on them, but you should always keep in mind your North Star is who you intend to reach. So that's the first thing. The reason that it's so important to get that information is because we leverage that for a variety of purposes. First off, we will automatically default in our dashboard to the audiences you identify as targets. That makes it easier to use the platform, because when you look at outcomes, when you seek to optimize, that is what will be surfaced for you off the bat, making your life a lot easier, fewer clicks to get to more information. Secondly, the notifications that we send are based on signals like, what are your target audiences? So understanding which target audiences, what your target audiences are, lets us notify you when those are performing well or they're not performing so well, and when you should probably think about doing something about that. And last but not least, we also use this information, this metadata about the campaign when we are generating takeaways in campaign summaries. So knowing who you intend to reach, how you intend to affect them, what the KPIs are, and who those people are, is an input to the machine learning that we use in order to generate campaign summaries. And that in turn surfaces information that's more relevant to you in those summaries. Great question. Thanks for that, Liz.
It is a good question. All right, well, that is all the questions that we have. So thanks everybody for joining, and thanks Jeremy for walking us through all of those great examples. And if anybody else on the call thinks of a question late tonight or tomorrow morning or whenever, feel free to reach out to your Upwave contact, and we are happy to help.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. And as we said, learning more about your pain points and understanding better how the solutions that we've built to date help you is really valuable to us. So feel free to reach out about that as well.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Take care. Thanks for joining.